Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for clicking, and if you're not new here, what is up to all of my Berkeley besties? I do appreciate each and every one of you for clicking on this video, and you know what? We're not going to even waste time. It is the new year coming in. I'm not going to ramble like I usually do. We shall see how that turns out. Today, my name is going to be Oprah because I am releasing The Color Purple soon. That's the most creative thing that I can come up with right now. This year was a very great year for film and a good year for music, I would say. I had a really fun time with the movies that I've seen this year. Have I seen every movie? No. But I do have to say it was a good year for movies in general. When I look at this list of movies that I put together that I liked from this year, I think that it was pretty good. It was a fun time. It was great, you know? And today we're going to be talking about the movies that I personally think stood out of the huge crowd. If a movie is not on this list, please do not think I hated it. Either I have not seen it, or I probably didn't like it, or I probably just thought it was okay. But I didn't think it was like amazing or great enough to end up on this list. This is like movies that were like from really good all the way to amazing. In my opinion. This is my opinion. But without further ado, let's start with my first movie. So the first movie, I'm just gonna get it out the way. I think we all know what this movie is. It was Barbie. Barbie was a really, really good movie. I loved Barbie. If you guys don't know, I actually am an avid toy collector. I collect action figures, dolls, all these different things. And Barbie is a very big figure in all of the things I do collect. And I do have to say, this movie was really good. I loved it. Margot Robbie was fantastic casting as Barbie. As, you know, a typical Barbie. And same thing with Ryan Gosling as Ken. I remember when I first heard Ryan Gosling was gonna be Ken, I was like, I don't know why I would have expected him to get that role to like Zac Efron or somebody. But then I was like, but Ryan Gosling, that actually sounds really good. And it was really good. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing with that one. Ryan Gosling was a really great Ken. And I love the story of it. I love the way that it told this like interesting commentary on gender roles in society and the way that it flipped it and just talking about how we all treat each other. And just the whole movie, if people don't get this, because I see a lot of people hate on the movie just because what they heard or whatever. If you just watch the movie, you will see that the movie's saying that we all should just treat each other good, whether men or women. Like, men need to treat women great and women need to treat men great. And the whole point of the movie is just that we all need to be better. That's literally it. We all need to love ourselves, find love for ourselves, and also just make sure that we're doing good with how we treat others in society. And I think it was a really, really good movie. It talked about quite a few different things that I loved, especially with the way that women feel that they're being treated. And I loved it. And I do hope it opens up a lot of conversation, and I do hope it helps people understand that we have to look past ourselves, you know? But the movie itself was fun. It was great. It was everything that you could want from a Barbie movie. I don't even know how to really describe it. I will say, I do have one critique from the movie. The one critique that I do have is they had some really good references in there, but I wish that the references were a little bit bigger, you know?
Sure, Jan.
The next movie I want to talk about. Now this one was so strange for me because I like horror movies, but this one I was not planning on seeing it really, and I ended up seeing it with my brother and my best friend, and this was a doozy. But this movie is Evil Dead Rise.
Mom?
Mommy's with the maggots now.
So yes, Evil Dead Rise. I remember people would talk about how they didn't like it because of the originals and blah 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 blah. This movie, going to see this made me go watch all the old ones. And I really do have to say, I loved this movie. This movie was really fun. It was really freaky and gory and just scary and just, it was such a great vibe. I loved this movie. Evil Dead Rise was a really good film. I loved the storytelling in it. I will say, this is like a little side disclaimer. One thing that keeps this movie from being like amazing is that we really didn't get to fully connect with all of the characters. We got to connect with like 3 of them, just 3. And then the other ones were kind of like, you know, I would have loved to connect with them a lot more. So then when certain people died, it felt more like, oh, gut-wrenching, you know? But yeah, Evil Dead Rise was another film. I think this was a really, really great film from this year. I think it was really good. Is it raining? It is raining. Well, that's fun. The next film we're going to talk about was an interesting one. I went to go see this by myself in theaters on a whim. It was like on a whim randomly. I was like, let me go watch something. Let me go see a movie, you know? And this movie is Talk to Me.
Talk to me.
So yes, the film Talk to Me was a pretty big horror film. I will say, it did end up becoming really big. And I went to go see it on a whim one day by myself in theaters. I was like, I don't have nothing to watch, I don't have nothing to do, it was by myself. So I was like, let me just go see a horror movie. And I went to go see this movie. And it was made by A24 if I'm not mistaken. So that was like another thing that made me want to go see it. I do have to say, it was great. Talk to Me was a really good movie. I really did like it. I think they did a great job with it. I think they did a really good job with just the storytelling in general. That hit me differently because I deal with a lot mentally as well. And then also losing a parent can be like it could be a lot to deal with. I can't even describe this enough. I always talk about this to people, but this movie did a really good job showing how somebody can feel losing a parent, and also showing how mental, I don't know what they call it, dysphoria, or how mental illness is a real thing. And it was such a good horror movie. I don't know how to really describe it. I went into the movie with low expectations, with no expectations. I went into the movie with no expectations. I was just like, I'm gonna go see this movie. Maybe it's okay, maybe it's bad, maybe it's good, who cares? And it turned out to be amazing. I loved it. I think it was a great movie, and I think they did a really, really great job. The next movie I'm gonna talk about is Megan.
Primary user now.
So here's the thing about Megan. Megan was not a great horror movie or anything. I think it was a pretty good comedy horror. I think it was pretty good on that fact. I think it was good because I didn't go into it thinking it was going to be a super serious horror film. I remember a lot of people were so disappointed, like a lot of horror critics, because they were like, oh my gosh, this was not gory. It wasn't this, or it didn't have no horror elements or whatever. I felt like we all should have kind of known by that first trailer it was going to be a comedy horror. And it was, and they did a good job. It was funny. It was great. It was a fun time. I forgot who I went with. I went to the movies to see it with some people. I think, my best friend and my brother again. Or I went with my best friend and somebody else. I forgot. But I just remember me and him were making so many jokes because the movie was a mess. It was a good time. It was a good time. Megan, I can't wait to see Megan 2. Hopefully it's just as much of a good time. Hopefully for Megan 2, they don't take themselves too seriously to the point that they divert in a whole other direction. But also hopefully they don't go in like the scary movie direction, like where it's just too comedic and just over the top jokes. No. Stay where you guys were with Megan and do that with part 2. I want to see what that's going to look like. The next film we're going to talk about today is Super Mario Bros.
Let's go.
So here's the thing. I actually do have quite a bit to say about the Super Mario Brothers movie. This movie was fun for people that are fans of Mario and just love Mario in general. Like, I have a Nintendo Switch. I have a bunch of Mario games. I'm very much a Mario person. Right? I have Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Bros, Super Mario 3D World. But from a person who also likes a lot of screenwriting and books and storytelling, I do have to say the storytelling was a little all over the place for this movie. It was not perfect in any capacity whatsoever. Did it make $1 billion? Yes. I think it's because a lot of us just love Mario. We love the merch and the whole event. And I took my siblings actually to see it. My younger siblings, like the little ones. And one of them was dressed up as Mario. The other one was dressed up as Peach. It was cute. It was a fun time. But I do have to say, from a storytelling perspective, it was not the greatest. But I will say I'm happy that it was a kids movie, that this was not a movie that was meant for like grown folk or like an adult animation. No, this was definitely a kids movie, so the kids didn't mind it as much. It just was like, oh, that's so colorful and cool and cute, and the music and all these different things. And as an adult watching with my siblings, seeing them happy also made me happy. And just seeing Mario on the screen in general. It was a lot of things that made this movie good, but there was one big thing that made it not great, and that just was the writing. So I know that they're supposed to be doing more in this like cinematic universe of Nintendo. I hope that they actually pay more attention to the writing, just because I think that they could make these things great. They could make them a lot better. And the writing needs to be really like cohesive and great. Because for Super Mario Bros, the writing was not that good. But I will say the movie is fun nostalgia and very just like great Easter eggs, and it makes you just feel things when you watch it, especially if you watch it with like your family. It's a really fun family movie, I will say that. The next movie is an animated movie, and this one had a really amazing story writing. And this is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, Part 1.
Who do you think you are? Really?
I remember when I first saw Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, and I was like, oh, this is a really good movie. I saw it on Netflix, I think it was. I was not, and it's crazy too, I wasn't expecting it to be bad, but I wasn't expecting it to be so amazing. It was such a good movie. So when Across the Spider-Verse was come out, I was like, oh, this is gonna be something to look out for. And it definitely was. This movie was really, really good. Storytelling was good. The animation was great. The characters were amazing. I loved them. Like Javi, love him so much. It's like they did a really great job, but there is a but. The fact that this is only the first half of a film, if you watch the whole thing, you realize you only get half of the story, is what keeps it from being great to me. It's like really, really, really good, but it's not like amazing. It's like, I need to see what the second half of this story looks like. Because if the second half of this story kills it too, then this is probably gonna be some of the greatest part 1 and part 2 film ever. But if it doesn't kill it and actually like splats on its face, then I'll be like, okay, part 1 was amazing, part 2, the story had a little bit of a mix up. But yeah, Across the Spider-Verse was a really, really good movie. I loved it. I loved it so much. Miles Morales, you know, really, really great character. I remember when Miles Morales was first like made, I think it was, or first like announced. Way back when. I remember all the hate that he was getting, just all the hate that people were having for this character. And it's so funny to watch all of y'all do a complete 160. That is why maybe it's good not to spread hate, you know? Maybe spreading hate just isn't the solution. I don't know, I'm just saying. The next movie I want to talk about is another Marvel film. This one actually I was not expecting to be that good. And this is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
No!
So yes, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I was not a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. I think it was okay. And then I did not like Volume 2. I didn't like it at all. And that's just my opinion. I was not a fan of it. But I will say Volume 3, definitely great. It was amazing, it was great, it was a fun time. It was a really, really fun time. And it really tugged my heartstrings. I loved the storytelling with Rocket Raccoon and with the team and just everything. They did a really, really great job. I liked Volume 3. I think Volume 3 is the best out of all 3 Guardians movies, in my opinion. And I remember I went to go see it on a whim. I wasn't supposed to go see it actually. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna go see that. But I was like, you know what? Why not check it out? Especially because it's supposed to be the last Guardians film or whatever. So went to go see it, and I actually am very happy I did. This is a really good movie. If you guys have not seen it, I do urge you to go check it out. Go watch it. I think it's on Disney Plus now. Maybe. I don't know. The next film I'm going to talk about is one that's kind of controversial because a lot of people feel different types of ways about it. And I know why they feel different types of ways about it. And this film is Knock at the Cabin.
The 4 of us are here to prevent the apocalypse.
So Knock at the Cabin is an M. Night Shyamalan film. Shyamalan? I don't know. One of them. But this is an M. Night Shyamalan film. And he has very hit or miss movies. I'm gonna be real with you. He does have some very hit or miss movies. But I will say that Knock at the Cabin, as a person who did not read the book, The Cabin at the End of the World, I didn't read the book first. I thought the movie was really good. I liked it. It was a very good movie. I love the suspense in it. Do I feel like they could have did a little bit more? Yes, I definitely do. But other than that, I think it was good. I think it was a good film. Now, reading the book, I do see why a lot of people did not like the movie. I think if you go into this film after reading the book, you probably are not going to be too fond of the movie. But if you do watch the movie without reading the book, it is a pretty good movie. It's a good movie. It does a really good job of what it's supposed to be doing. Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. Just make a decision on what you want to do before you watch it. Do you want to read the book and then be like, oh, I don't like this movie? Or do you want to watch the movie, like it, and then read the book and like the book more? That's the only thing I can really say. The next film I'm going to be talking about is... Can I say the title of this on YouTube? I think I can. This movie is Cocaine Bear. So please don't attack me, YouTube. I'm literally just naming the movie, okay? This movie is a comedy movie, okay? Please do not go into this movie thinking some super serious horror bear film. Comedy, very much satirical. And it was funny. It was a funny, good time. Watching it in the theater was a hilarious time with the jokes that people were making, the laughing. It was just... it was great. It was great. And I recommend, if you're having a friends like movie night where like you're having a bunch of friends over, you know, you guys want to watch something that's funny or like strange, watch this movie. This movie was funny. It was a good time. That's all I can really describe it as. It's like a fun party movie, you know? So next up on my list is going to be Scream 6.
Please help me. Just down there. What's on line here, girl?
You got a problem here, guy?
So here's the thing. I'm not going to go too much into this movie. I'm just going to say I think it was a pretty good Scream movie. I think it was good for what it was. Do I feel like the reveals at the end were super predictable? Yes, I do. I predicted this movie from the moment that it like began. Like, oh, I'm just so irritated because I'm like, I was so irritated. I already knew who the killers were. I'm not going to spoil it for people that want to watch it. All I'm going to say is, it was a pretty good Scream movie until the end. The end was just like, okay. But as we know, Melissa Barrera, the main actress from Scream 5 and 6, she was fired due to her standing with Palestine. And that was wrong of them to fire her like that. She should not have been fired, which she said was not wrong. And second off, the fact that they tried to ask her to come back after doing that to her? No. So I know they're supposed to be making Scream 7.
Throw that shit in the garbage.
I didn't like that they did that to her. I don't like that they did that to her. That was not the vibe at all. Scream 6 though, as a movie, was okay. It was pretty okay. It was a pretty good horror film up until the end. That's all I can really describe it as. A good film until the end. Next up on my list, this is a movie I actually really liked. I just feel like it was a little too long. That's the thing that like gets me with some of these movies. And this movie is John Wick 4.
You're going to die.
Maybe not.
Now, I watched all the John Wick movies. I actually had a really fun time watching all of them over the past like few years. I think it was like 2 years ago. No, wait, we're in 2023. Well, that's crazy. Okay, in 2019, me and a friend of mine, we watched like part 1 and 2, and then we turned around, went to the movie to go see part 3. It was a fun time. I love John Wick. I fell in love with this character and with this franchise. And so I was excited for part 4. And when part 4 was announced, I was super happy. And of course, when we went to go see part 4, I was excited. And I do have to say, the movie was good. It was not bad. But, there is a really big but. I do feel like it was a little too long. It was like so long to the point that people in the theater were falling asleep. And they were trying to, like, their friends and spouses were waking them up, like, wake up, wake up. And they're like, I want to wake up. But I'm just like, it's been hours. Like, it's been so long. And I do feel like the movie was just a little too long. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to say that because I wouldn't have cut anything out of the movie. I don't think there was really anything you could cut out. I think it's just a tough situation, you know? I think you really have to watch it during the daytime and be awake to really like fully get into it. But at the same time, it's like a nighttime film. I don't know how to really get into I don't know how to describe it. But it was a good movie. John Wick 4 was really good. I think it was a great ending to his story. They should not make John Wick 5. I know everybody's like, John Wick 5 and all this stuff. I'm not going to spoil how John Wick 4 ends, but I'm going to say is, please do not do John Wick 5. This was a really great end to this story, okay? We do not need to drag this stuff back into everything, like drag this man back into the drama. This was a really good ending. I liked it. I think John Wick 4 was a really great movie, and I do urge you to go watch all 4 of them. All the John Wick movies are really good. They're like great, like really great. The next film that I'm gonna be talking about is Dungeons and Dragons.
Here's the thing, we're a team of thieves. And when you do this, you're bound to make enemies. Sometimes those enemies come looking for revenge.
So, Dungeons and Dragons, I'm a very big D&D fan. I love me some D&D. And honestly, when I heard the movie would be announced, I was like, oh yes. I'm with the vibes. I'm with it. I'm with it all the way. So naturally, of course, when the movie came out, I went to go see it. And it did not disappoint. I'm actually kind of mad that the movie didn't make that much money. When I saw the box office results, I'm like, are you serious? Guys, this movie was fun. It was fun. It was camp. It was great. It was action. It was great storytelling. I loved it. The Dungeons and Dragons, I really would love for this movie to get a sequel. I would love for it to get a sequel. And I think they did a really, really great job with it. Chris Pine, the man that you are, you did a great job. And everyone on the cast did a great job. But it's just like, this movie was it. This movie was very much one of my favorite movies of the year. The next movie I'm going to talk about is one that also did really bad in the box office, interestingly enough. But I watched it at home because I didn't have the time to see it in theaters because a lot was going on in my personal life. But this movie was really good, and this is Elemental.
Meet the residents of Element City. Air usually has their head in the clouds.
Oh, my new jacket!
So Elemental is a Disney Pixar film from this year, and I loved it. I don't see why people had an issue with this movie. It's a love story. It's very interesting too because Disney has not done, I think, a love story like a romantic love story in a minute. I think it's been a while since they've done that. I think their past few movies have been more so either remakes, which do have love stories in them, but it's a remake, the live action remakes, or they've been like more so singular standalone movies to focus on like characters' families, like Encanto, or something like Turning Red, or Raya and the Last Dragon, stuff like that's not really romance. And Elemental was a romantic movie, and it made me really realize, I'm like, wow, Disney hasn't made a romance in a while. And I liked it. I loved this movie, actually. This was a really great movie talking about people and their backgrounds and the way it was a very interesting commentary on society without feeling too, how do I describe it? Well, I guess not without feeling too direct, but at the same time doing a really good job at showing something from a different standpoint. Especially with them using water, fire, air, and earth as like the different, to show how different these people are in this world, but at the same time, they're all elements, so how the same they are and how they actually can come together without hurting each other. I loved Elemental. I think Elemental is a really great movie. If you have not seen it, I urge you to check it out. Watch it. It's a really good movie. It's very fun. It's very cute. And the story's really good. The story's really good. Especially if you're a person, if you have a family that like has immigrated from anywhere or ever lived from another country, or even if you have like your grandparents are from another country and you're probably like, you know, full on from America or whatever, or from wherever country you are, I just urge you to watch this movie. It may be a really great family movie for you guys to watch. I think like I really related to this movie in a lot of different ways, and I loved just everything in it. It was great. The next movie we're going to talk about is Neona.
The name's Neona. Your sidekick has arrived.
I don't need a sidekick.
Every villain needs a sidekick.
I'm not a villain.
So Neona. Okay. Neona, I had heard about this and I was like, what is Neona? It just sounded interesting to me. When I saw the art for it, I said the art looks very interesting too. And I was like, I'm gonna watch it eventually. One day, I forgot what it was. It was something really, really sad that was going on with me in my life. And I just had nothing to do. So I sat down and I put on Netflix. And I was feeling so sad. And then I put on Neona. That was such a good choice. That was such a good choice for me to do. This movie is so great. It's a really, really fun movie. It's very great. It's very action-packed. It's very emotional. It has romance in it. It's like, it's everything. I just really love this movie. Neona is a really, really great film. I do urge you guys to go check it out. It is an animation film, but it's a really good movie. Neona is a really good movie. It's very fun. I loved it. I loved it so much. And the voice acting was very much amazing. I loved all of the voice actors that were in this movie. I loved the acting in it. I just loved the art. It was all fantastic. Yeah, go check Neona out. It's a really good movie, and I do urge you guys to go and watch it. The next movie, okay, so this one was a fun one. This one was a fun one because I watched this with my mom and my uncle, and we didn't know what to watch. We heard about this movie in a way, so it was like, okay, we can watch this movie together. This movie is called They Cloned Tyrone. This is another Netflix film. And honestly, They Cloned Tyrone, y'all. When I tell you, this movie was so good. Like, this movie was, it started off okay. It started off with us being like, okay, we're a little tired, we're watching it, it's okay. But it got so good. It like turned it up to a 10. I don't know how to really describe it. I fell in love with the movie really, really quickly. At first I was just like, okay, it's an okay movie so far. But then I really fell in love with it. It's a really good movie. I do urge you to go check this movie out. It's fun, it's great, it's camp, it's interesting, and it's like a sci-fi film. I don't know how to really describe it. It's like a sci-fi conspiracy type of film type of thing. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I do urge you guys to go check this movie out. The next movie we're going to talk about is Cobweb. So Cobweb is a horror film. In a way, horror thriller kind of film. Yeah. So Cobweb is very interesting. That's all I can really say about it. It's more so like a build-up of a movie. It's about this young boy that you know, he lives a very interesting life with his parents, but one day he hears a voice in the walls. That's all I can really say. It was a really good movie. It is probably one of my favorites of the year. I do urge you guys to go watch this. This is like one of my top movies of the entire year. And it was great. I can't even really describe Cobweb in any other way without like spoiling it or without saying anything different. It just was a really great movie. It was a really great movie. And it was a really great horror movie, a really great thriller movie. It had me on my toes the entire time. I will say it does start off as a slow burn. It starts off as one, but quickly gets into quite a few different things. And it has you, like, it's a really conspiracy type of movie. Every which way, you're like, who do I trust? Who do I not trust? What do I, like, what's happening? Gag City. That's all I can really say. The next movie is TMNT Mutant Mayhem.
Go, Gert. Go, Gert. Okay, Batman.
Dude, what? I'm just trying to hype you guys up.
Let's go!
So yeah, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie that came out, it was so good. Honestly, I'm a person that wasn't really like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan before. I never really was, but this movie really made me love the Ninja Turtles. I love this movie. I took my little brothers to go see it. We had a great time. It was a fun movie, fun time. It was great. And even the turtles, watching them in the movie, it reminded me of my brothers, where I was like, oh, I'm so annoyed in an older sibling kind of way, but also in a, oh, they're just too cute kind of way. It was just, they just were hilarious. They were a mess. And I loved it. I loved the revamp. I know a lot of people didn't like that the turtles were going to be younger in this one, but I do have to say, I think that it was good the way that they did it, with them making them younger. I think also it let people such as like 5, 7, and 13 and 12-year-olds watch it and feel like, whoa, like this is me and my friends. Like me and my friends are definitely like, this is us. We relate to this. And watching other kids in the theater say this, like, oh, me and my friends are gonna have to be this for Halloween, or we're gonna have to do this, or we're gonna have to do that, blah blah. And it was just seeing them like geek out about it. It made the experience way more fun. It made it like, oh, this is really like, this is about to be a thing. And I loved it. I loved it so much. So I do urge you to go check it out. If you have children, if you have like boys or girls, but if you have children, I do urge you to watch this movie with them. I think they really will like it, especially if you have younger sons or like teenage sons. They will probably, I think they'll really relate to it, and they'll really be like, oh, this is like their film. They're gonna love it. So the next film, this one is a little interesting to talk about because I don't know how really to talk about it. It's a comedy film. It's just so great. And this movie is called Bottoms.
Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Guess that's you guys.
So this movie has two of my favorite actresses right now, Ayo Edebiri and Rachel Sennett in it. So I was very much happy to see that. I was like, oh, they're in this movie together? I'm sold. So when I watched the movie, I went into it already knowing it was gonna be a comedy. I went into it knowing I was gonna be laughing, but I was not expecting the fuckery that was in this movie. It was out of pocket. It was like, imagine you expect to go be around some funny people. You're like, oh, these people are usually funny, or I heard about this comedian, or one of my friends said this person is funny. But then it's like some straight up fuckery happens, and it's just like, it's so funny, but also it's out of pocket, where you're just like, there is no way that just happened. Bottoms is that movie. It was such a funny movie, such a great movie. If you are a person who loves like those teenage comedy type films, like Booksmart, I think is the name of it, or what's that movie with Mick Lovin? I forgot the name of that movie. I like that movie too. But yeah, if you like films like that, you are gonna like Bottoms. It's gonna make you laugh. It's gonna be a fun time, and it's just so absurd. It's such an absurd movie, but it's such a funny, absurd movie. I liked it a lot. Next up on my list, we're almost to the end of the list, and the next one on my list is No One Will Save You. This movie, when I tell you guys, this movie is on Hulu. Go watch this movie. This is my movie of the year. This is my favorite movie of the entire year. This movie is a sci-fi horror movie. All I can say is Gag City. Literally. There is no other way to describe this movie. This movie is fantastic. It's like, all I can say is when you start this movie, it feels kind of like, okay, this is slow. I'm starting to get a little bit of the story or whatever, what's happening. Pay very close attention, first off. Second off, once things start to happen, it's like a full sprint to the end of the movie. There is no slowing down. This movie is a sprint from the moment that shit starts going down to the end. It is like stuff continuously happening over and over and over. Stuff is gonna keep going and keep going and keep going. It was so good. I watched the movie like 4 times, okay? I watched the movie 4 times this year. I showed it to my mom, I showed it to my best friend, showed it to my siblings. This was such a good movie. I cannot recommend this movie enough. This is my favorite film of the year. No One Will Save You. It is on Hulu. Also, I'm sorry for the rain noises. I don't know if you guys can hear it through the microphone, but it is raining outside my window. So my last movie suggestion of the year. This one is very interesting for me because I've never saw none of the movies before this. But this movie is Saw X, or Saw 10.
Hello, everyone. It's time to play a game.
So, yeah, Saw X. So here's okay, you guys are probably rolling your eyes at me because I said I never saw the other ones. I did not see none of the other Saw movies besides Saw 1. I only saw Saw 1 when I was like really young. And I probably shouldn't have seen that now that I think about it. But yeah, I saw Saw 1 and I've never seen any of the other Saw movies. And I do have to say, I'm kind of glad I didn't because this movie was a good movie on its own, first off. And it was just a good horror movie. Like, I don't even know if I can really call it a horror movie. I think I'll call it a thriller. It does have horror elements, but it's more so thriller. It's more of a thriller, action, suspense type of movie. And they did a really, really good job with it. It made me feel like I should, it made me want to go watch the other ones because it was so good. But every time I talk to a friend or somebody, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go watch the other Saw movies because Saw X was good. They're like, no, don't do that. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I won't. Y'all telling me not to, maybe y'all just listen, you know? But yeah, Saw X was a really good movie. I wanted to end the list off on this one because I don't really have anything extra to say about it besides if you have not watched all the other Saw movies, you can definitely watch this one and still have a good time. If you have watched all the other Saw movies, apparently this is a lot better than most of them because all the people that saw the other Saw movies told me that this was one of the best ones in years. So yeah, I do recommend that you guys go check this movie out. It is really good. It is really fun. It was a good movie. So yes, we have now reached the end of the video. I do hope you guys enjoyed this. It took a while for me to put this list together. Believe me, I was taking things off and putting things on and taking things off and putting things on. But I do think this is like a definitive list of the movies that I enjoyed this year. And that I would say set up what 2023 was for me as far as movies were. And I do hope next year we do have better movies. I will say this was a good year of movies. It was a very good year of movies. But I do hope I feel like we could do better. I feel like we do a little bit better. Like I said, it's some things that I feel like we improved upon quite a few of these movies and quite a few of these things. And I do hope that next year brings even better films. And I've seen some of the films that were announced for next year and I'm looking. I do hope you guys had a really wonderful time watching this. I am going to link my Letterboxd down below because something I'm telling myself, I'm going to start leaving reviews on all the movies I watch so you guys can keep up with me with the films that I'm watching and stuff like that. So I'm gonna leave a link down to that below. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like on this video and subscribe to become a Berkeley bestie. Hello, like I would love to have you guys join me. And yeah, thank you so much for clicking. And I will talk to you guys later. I'll probably see you guys really soon. But yeah, bye.